Three, two, one, live. Da-da. Connecting. Hello, Facebook. There it is. Should be up all over the place, even though Facebook's trying to crap out. Welcome to Burning the Set List. I'm Compton. That's Governor. Our guest today is the beautiful smile right up there at top, Mr. Matt Moseley. I call you the
Matt
Pensacola
Moseley,
Hermit.
Hermit of Pensacola Comedy.
I think it's very appropriate. Welcome to the show.
That's a real hermit. That's a hermit beard he's got right there.
I
Hell
put the hair
yeah.
back so I didn't look as aggressive.
Nice.
So, for anybody watching, if you want to chime in, feel free. Please do. We'd love to have your comments. Just make sure if you want us to see them during the live broadcast that you put them on the Burning the Set Lists feed so we can see them. Because I can only monitor so much at one time. Like one is enough. I can't do all of them. But yeah, here we are. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, spread the word, all that good stuff. We're not going to watch any of Matt Moseley's tape tonight because as the Hermit of Pensacola Comedy, he doesn't have any. It doesn't exist. It's not real. He's never been photographed or filmed. This is his first time ever on camera.
There's more footage of Bigfoot than there is of Matt Moseley.
It sounds like it's more. It's not like a plan. I don't. It's just you want to look for it. It's not. You make me sound like I'm some kind of gimmick. It's not
There you are.
like.
No,
a
you're
gimmick.
you're not a gimmick. You're just your own brand, and so that becomes gimmicky. That's your original. As an original,
original, yeah.
you're your own gimmick. Come on now, that's the best compliment I could come up with.
No, and I do not. I'm not offended by that at all. I still do jokes. You just see them live. How about that?
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. Man, where were we before this?
But you
Man,
ran
we've been
the
all over the
shooters for a
place.
long time. You were probably like the longest running show, right? Until it shut down.
I claim it, and I will claim it until anyone makes it 10 more years. I claim it a decade because it still was the effort and the process. But yeah, we did shooters from November of 2010 until April of 2020.
Nice.
Damn.
So that's the decade to me, and it was a mic, and the whole point of it was to be a mic,
Right.
and that was it, and it wasn't even supposed to be mine. So like, that's the whole thing. So yeah, I've been doing that too long, and other shows and other things. So yeah, I have jokes.
Yeah, I
know.
played
No
that
one
one a
doubts
couple of times. It was fun. You liked it.
Yeah, no, and I don't know if you remember, but every time anyone from I'm Pensacola, if it's not clear. Anytime you guys would come over because you guys would double up in a car and make the
Yeah.
drive, and it was a late mic, we'd always do it at like 11.
Right.
I would say the early 10:30 or 10, and we wouldn't start till 11 or 12:30, and we'd go to 4. And sometimes, but every time you guys from Mobile would drive, like, you don't need to cross a bridge for this. And I tell you, it's just never waste your time. But you guys would show up, and I always appreciated that too. You didn't have to make that drive, but yeah, it's the room's different now, so we're working on or whatever it will be. But yeah, that's what I did for a long time.
That's good. You were like one of the stalwarts of Pensacola comedy there for a while. That's good. We appreciated having somewhere to go, you know.
You tried.
The best open mic of all time.
You think?
Yeah, as far as getting better and practicing to be a
Right.
comic, there was no better gym than shooters. I mean,
Yes, yeah. But
That's
the real
what-
star, the real star of the show was Miss Bobby, right? Working the bar.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, if I'll tell you the origin of it, I'll do it quick. But yeah, I walked in because when I started doing jokes in 2010, because I'd never done it before, and I was already my beard was shorter, but just about as gray, I imagine. But I went and I did a show with someone from Pensacola from years ago named Alan Shaw at a place called the Fugly Worm,
Nice.
where they were burning a picnic table on a barrel out back.
Nice.
And and we did the show, and he was like, hey, I'm trying to set up this show at this place, and it's called Shooters. It's in Cordova Lanes if you want to show up. And I live down I was close. The proximity is easy. I'm very proximal. I want shit near me. You guys know the laziness of how I do my shit. Another reason why recording is just too much effort. But he was like, yeah. And so I showed up. He's like, it's on Thursdays at 9:00. And I'm like, hey, I did one show. First time I ever did comedy. I did one show. I got paid for it. I'm a real person that did comedy now. It was $5 and everyone skipped on the bill. It was a weird process. And then we never did jokes there ever again. But when we get to the place, I brought friends and I'm like, we got an open mic. I'm going to be like the funniest dude in the room. Mm-hmm. And I go up to Miss Bobby behind the table or behind the bar. And I'm like, hey, he said, there's going to be a show here. And she's like, yeah, he says a lot of shit. And I'm
nice.
Like, okay, well, I brought friends. If you want to turn the mic on, I will do the stuff that I already had done. Yeah. And she said, sure. And, like, all right, whatever. And then I just did. And then within 2 or 3 weeks, we had a stage put up and we had some lights going. I mean, a plywood stage, but a stage. And it was more for karaoke. But she would then just berate the shit out of us. She just became the first heckler, and it didn't matter who was in the room. Right. It was just she was going to be there, and yeah, that's the origin of what it is, and then it fizzled to what it became. But that's the thing; it's always a bottle rocket, right? Like fireworks just explode nice. But yeah, she was the best, and I love that anyone remembers Miss Bobby. Because she's still involved, but I haven't been up there and whenever. But yeah, she shifted out. But yeah.
Governor, do you have a Miss Bobby story?
Not really. She's kind of nice to me, I guess.
I remember that was my first having to deal with a heckler. Like she was real polite. She kind of said something in passing, and it was good. It was good experience because she was cold blooded, man. She wouldn't just be like, she didn't get upset. She was just smooth about it. It wasn't any skin off her back, but she was going to tell you what she thought. And so she did. She walked by, and I was making a joke about something military, and so she said Navy town, and just tore me asunder. I had nothing. She stopped me stone cold. Yeah, that was a valuable lesson.
And the way the bar set up, there was have the people would come up, so she wouldn't just heckle the comics. She'd heckle the people that were ordering drinks.
Right, nice.
From the window. So your set would be heckled inadvertently, and then you could like piggyback her heckle.
Yeah.
Like it was like this silly ass atmosphere, and she would give you shit at the window. She'd give you shit at the bar. She'd give you shit from the stage, and it was all in jest, unless it got to a point where it was not necessary, and she was done with your bullshit. And that only happened a few times, but yeah, that's exactly how it worked, and that's why she was accepting when I showed up, and I think she trusted me because I took it, and I was like, I'll try. After she told me he says a lot of shit, I think we're good right then. She came to my wedding. I'll say that. I just celebrated my 4th anniversary 3 days or last week.
Yeah, nice.
And she actually came to my wedding.
Did she heckle you?
Huh?
Did she heckle the wedding?
She actually was on the phone she answered her phone.
Of course she was.
I swear to Christ, there's video of it. Like the audio as my wife was walking down the aisle. Like, because she got a call and was like, it was perfect.
Once a heckler, always a heckler.
I almost want to give her credit intentionally, but I can't prove it. Yeah, she's audibly talking during, like, right before the battles start. It was nice. Miss Bobby, man. Yeah, that's why you call her Miss Bobby. Earned it.
Once
anyway,
heckler, always.
I'm just making this about that. That's not what this is about.
Well, no, I mean we got plenty of time. We got plenty of things to talk about. And this is one of them. I mean, talking about shooters and what that meant to Pensacola. I mean, I can't say it enough. It was my favorite mic because as difficult as it was to perform in that environment for me being a new comic, that's where you find out what you're worth. Like when you stand on stage and get nothing back, and it's just you, and it's valuable. It's a very valuable lesson. Like,
right.
It's one thing to get off stage and be able to go, oh, the crowd, they just, they didn't get it. And then it's another thing to get off stage and be like, there are two people here. We made eye contact the whole time. You can't walk over there and blame them personally and be like, you people don't get me. Like, that doesn't. No.
Yeah.
That's what. No, that was the best part. It's feeling that panic. If you can overcome the panic, that's what I used to tell, and that's my favorite part. That's what I miss almost as much. It's almost the coaching aspect. I mean, I guess, and teaching is some kind of educator, and that's not one associated. But using just the experience and saying it, like coaching, and like I always, every time something, that's what I loved about it. They would sign up, and I would wait there, and no one would show up until, and it'd be 3 people, whatever, and I would still do 40 to 45 minutes, and wait for anybody to come in. And if they did, they got to go up, and there'd be no one there except me and baby Miss Bobby, or eventually Greg and anyone else that, you know, behind the bar. And my favorite thing that I realized of this, it was going up to after him and going, you did that shit, man. Like, look what you did. All right, here's how I heard what you're saying in the panic that you were dealing with. It's like the next stepping stone. It's the best.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. It's just I miss the shit out of that.
Yeah, you always did. You used to give good notes. I remember that when you got off stage, Matt was always there to give you good critique of what was going on.
I didn't want to seem as if I was trying to say I knew something more, right? I just wanted to say, like, it felt like, here, you know, I loved that line and wanted to add a tag to it, or like, because it was just fun to see those people go up and do it to nobody, because it's terrifying. It's just, but if you can just pass that sweat and just ride that wave, man. Right. I mean, it's the most fucking rewarding. And getting one person, if you can draw it out.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
And we had the luxury at Shooters, so that the bowling alley was kicked, so the doors came right in, and then people could sit down, go play pool or get a drink, and then you can bullshit, and you could draw someone in. And that was always those are the greatest nights, when somebody that just didn't know anyone's going to sit down all of a sudden got more worried, because now there's more people. It made me laugh so hard, because they were worried there's too many people to perform for now. It's just like so used to just 2 people.
Yeah. Sometimes you got a good crowd, right? You got a few crowds in there sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, we filled the place every now and then. Yeah. Mainly because, you know, the cops got called, or no.
The cops stayed.
yeah. Somebody did something. But no, it'd be a full area, and we had a karaoke thing for a while that would have the same kind of argument on the nights, but they were confused, and then that was the other key part. You'd bring them in. They had the deck that people have to go smoke at, and what we really got was a lot of people that would go and play pool or the bowl. They come back after bowling and sit down and have a few more beers or a couple of drinks, and then they'd sit at the tables and watch the show. And that's also the reasoning of stalling, because I knew eventually we're going to pull as many as we could. And some nights it was nobody, but the show happened because there could be somebody, and the opportunity for anybody in the area to come and do jokes was supposed to be. Yeah. That was it. I mean, that was it. And I don't want to say it as if it is finality, but I don't know what the plan is to.
So right now it's closed, right, because of the coronavirus, and
I know. Well, it was shut down after during last year through the pandemic, and now the hurricane hit, and now they're remodeling part of, because the bowling alley's still open. It's just the bar itself, from last I understand, is still being remodeled, and they're structuring what they're trying to do with it and how they're going to make it work and all that. So I don't know. You know, that's why I don't set up shows. It's like the mics. It's anyone can do the mic, right? Because you can just invite the people. That's why it was a luxury to have it for so long, and very lucky that we had the opportunity for as long as we did before this much of changes happened. But you know, once it gets up and going, and it does go again, I will be the motherfucker that's there telling the first dick joke, or I will set it on fire again. I shouldn't say that.
Don't admit to anything, man.
That's for joking purposes. No. But you know what I mean. Like if there's a show that's going to be set up at Shooters, I hope I know about it first.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
you
gotta
will.
be you. It's gotta be you and Miss Bobby, right? Otherwise, it's not gonna.
Or yeah, and Greg, I know. And the whole industry, the industry was so depleted, you know.
Right.
I'm just doing the burn thing because you said, you know, we're doing the burn thing, so I just did the fire joke. I'm not going to affect the place I loved you, like home I lived in, and I put more hours in that place through non-paid nothing, you know, than a lot of that's like 401k, right? You know.
Dude, well, when it comes back, I'll be right there with you, man. I love that place.
Oh, we will light that not on fire, but it will be boom.
Light it up with dick jokes.
Yeah, boy.
Bring
Anyway,
nice glow
see,
to
now
the
I feel like I'm
place.
leading this. Sorry,
No, that's weird.
I don't want to drag your time out.
You're just making it that much easier on us. It's not like we've got to get through a list of questions. We you know, I didn't prepare for this any more than you did, Matt. So
Nice. They were half-assing it.
Well, I know.
We're just
I didn't
winging
prepare
it.
for my own memories. I got those on space. I got those. Those are all filed.
exactly.
I just wanted to know, like, if there was something that we needed. I wanted to make sure that I didn't, you know,
Well,
drag on.
If there,
'Cause I loquacious like a sumbitch, man.
if we want to change subjects for a minute, I promise you we'll come back to Shooters at some point. Because how can you not?
You don't have to, because I don't know when we will.
Yeah, but how can you not? Let's be honest. But the new show that you and Kirby are doing, that I had the pleasure of doing last week, is what's the name of the place again?
Coastal
Plug it.
County Brewery,
Gotcha.
and it's the Coastal County Comedy on Mondays, or one Monday a month. The next one will be 4/19. It's on Olive Road. Like you guys can see where the hell I'm talking.
Yeah.
It's on Olive Road in Pensacola.
It's in
Florida.
North Pensacola.
And yeah. If you want to, so you navigate it. And we have a tent. It's like a revival tent. You all get, you know, we dip you in water, and y'all can.
Oh man, I
It's
didn't
an
even think
outside
of that
show.
angle.
We have a nice little area on the Monday evenings.
It's a great show. It was a lot of fun.
We've been having a really nice reception. We were very happy with that. Me and Kirby both. And like I said, as you said, thank you. It is Kirby's and Kirby and mine. It's also proximity because
Right down the street.
damn right. So you mobile guys can crash on this area because that's where we're at. That's the beauty of it. So yeah.
That's good to
as
know.
if you need to, but it is a brewery. So if you want to have a sip, you know.
Yeah, if you guys need
But
me, I'll
there's
be
also
staying
a
with
volleyball
Moseley.
court, next to it, which was the most interesting aspects of our first show. But now it's kind of a little more solidified and structured as to where we're doing it. And we do it one Monday a month. Generally the third to last Monday, depending on how it falls. Yeah. The next one will be April 19th.
Yeah, I think I'm booked for that one, right?
Yep. The last I heard.
That's and it's not the Odd Colony, right? It's the other place.
Yeah, it's Coastal County.
Coastal County.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that.
Yeah.
Make sure I shove at the right place.
Cub has got his calendar out.
Again, crossing that bridge, man. You see, that's why when you run the mic, you ain't got to worry about that. You don't feel the pressure. If you get lost, I didn't tell you to show up.
Yeah. Nice.
Dude, you tell me there's time, I'm gonna be there.
Man,
addicted.
That was my motto at Shooters, and I can't believe I brought that up. Yeah, stage time is stage time. I mean, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the less there is now, and I don't want to go on diatribe, but it's like this. When I notice there's like this insurgence of like Zoom comedy performance and stuff, and I'm not negating performance in any way of that, but that to me doesn't feel like stage time.
That's not. Yeah, it's a different thing.
I mean, that's just doing that's Thanksgiving. That's just trying to deal with my family
from a distance.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
And then there's still the gap. It's not to gate any of that stuff from the organization or the groups of people that are still trying to keep comedy alive. Because fuck yeah, right? But
In the wilderness.
If you
You're
don't,
alive in the wilderness, yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's right. It doesn't feel there, and I don't know. That's why I don't engage in those. I don't want to hear laughs on a lag.
Right.
Like it's just
If you can even hear them.
Yeah.
if you can even hear them, and if they're muted and you're not, and then if there's then some frustration coming at.
Yeah.
If I can't take somebody on for giving me a direct point because they can't understand what the hell I just said in a joke that I already wrote that I know what I mean about, I'm not going to try and do it as if it's, it's just pointless in my mind to convey it that way.
Yeah.
So I don't like to do it because it doesn't feel the same way. And that's another reason why I don't record my jokes until I want them the way it is, I guess. But like that's just one of those things. So stage time is stage time. Put your feet on them. And I'm so happy that we actually have some places going again. And Andrew Ferrara has put up this great spot. I can't ever remember the damn name.
Emerald Republic.
That's the one. See, I'm terrible.
That's the Thursday night. And then there's Monday night at Big Top Brewery.
Yeah, starts another Monday night. And we're doing that another mic. Yeah, and I can't remember see, that's what I should have studied.
The other
that's
one.
What I should have studied.
That's all right. I know it. It's okay. We got it covered.
Jesus. All right.
The other one that they're doing is Saturdays at Odd Colony. Those are the 3 Yikes shows right now in Pensacola.
Right. All the Yikes comedy guys, it's so great that they actually are doing it.
Crushing it.
Me and Kirby's one's the most recent, but there's actually places to do it. And yeah, ours just coincides, but stage time is stage time.
Yes.
Cannot reiterate.
Yeah. Now I just need to talk to Licia into figuring out or realizing that you guys are always going to start really late. And so that she should start that open mic really early. So next time I'm in town, I can do both. Well, that's just me being greedy.
No, I originally we set up the Coastal County one. We were trying to do that about 4 months before we actually had the first show.
Oh yeah,
because the pandemic just did, because they opened up like right when the pandemic was going on. So we were trying to get it going, and we were going to set that down first, and then we just basically couldn't get until like the last 2.5 months. So yeah. But that's a good it's a good mic. That's the mic in Mondays. You don't understand. The only difference is the show that we're doing. It's not
You guys do a book show.
Yeah, we do a book show. It's not a big deal to go to the mic and then not go to that.
Oh well, yeah. Get your stage time, and this I think it's actually beneficial to have something like that spread out, because if you've got it feels like something to work for, like the way that Matthew Tate runs the Maggie Myers thing, where it's a showcase and then an open mic. Like those two things are closely related, so it's a good incentive for people to go. And if you're getting paid to not go to an open mic and perform somewhere, like game on, Nice. I don't know. I don't see it as a dilemma at all.
So your Coastal is the 3rd Monday of every month.
It's third or last. That's how we got it laid out. So yeah, the 4/19 will be the next one.
And it's like 8 o'clock or something. Was it 9 o'clock start?
7:30, kind of, soft start, if you will.
7:30. You said there's a mic before that?
Huh?
Is there a mic somewhere before that in Pensacola?
No, it's at the same time.
Oh, it's at the same time.
Yeah, that's why Monday. I was saying I wanted to talk
whenever that Monday
into
hits, it's just we're doing that show. But
there's an every Monday show. Okay.
Right.
That's Big Top.
Alicia's got. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Which I haven't done that one yet, but I know a few people with that brewery.
I haven't either, actually.
And they're really cool.
But again, as long as it's running, man, that's the whole.
You haven't done it because it's not within walking distance of your house. Of your hermit hovel.
I wish that wasn't as true. Yeah, that and there's wrestling on the Mondays, man. No.
Wrestling? You can't miss that.
Dude.
Can't miss that.
I always forget that you are into wrestling.
It's terrible now. I'm watching it right now, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
What is wrestling without the Undertaker? Like,
yeah, what happened to that?
He finally retired, and now like the kayfabe. I mean, the kayfabe died already, but he's officially now just a guy that drives motorcycles. So
Nice.
that's basically it.
So he's retired, but he still shows up every now and again.
I mean, I don't want to waste y'all's time on wrestling.
The only thing I know about
soft reference, because there's a lot of stuff we can go into if you start letting me doing this. But yeah, he basically he became his gimmick is past. He is now Mark Calloway.
So he came back to himself. Okay, cool.
And now he's doing podcasts.
In a sense, yeah. He's still the Undertaker, and everyone has to understand it. But yeah. Don't make it sound so much more childish when you just equate the wrestling stuff towards the Undertaker. It's like, oh, that zombie guy. That's just equating it to Christianity. That's not fair to me. There are other people who represent other champions.
Hey, just because I don't,
as a human being that could kick your ass.
Just because I don't know anything about it doesn't mean.
Sorry, I didn't hear you confident.
Don't take my limited knowledge as demeaning. It's just because I don't know anything.
Make it sound way. There's other stuff.
But you're into the serious wrestling, not that made up stuff like Christianity, right?
My only religion is wrestling because it's the most theatric version. It's just the comedic arts now. Okay. I mean, there's a beauty to it. There's a beauty to the performance. It's kayfabe. I said kayfabe before. Keep using it. It's theater.
Kayfabe? What's that?
It's carny talk. It's kayfabe. You know what kayfabe is?
No, I never heard of it.
I thought it was just Korean fabulous. Like, isn't that what K in front of everything is now? Yeah.
You guys know what kayfabe is for fucking real?
Do you see how old we are?
Yeah, we're not down with the kids and their.
I got nothing. Tell me. Educate me.
Kayfabe was invented in the 30s, so I guess you guys just didn't catch on.
Right.
No, it's a reference to carny. It's kayfabe. That's how wrestling survived the veil of it being not actually exposed until the early 70s.
So, well, I mean, kayfabe is carny fabulous, not Korean fabulous.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Okay, all right, you sons of bitches. Listen,
carny begins with a C. Where did the K come from?
Well, you know, like crew in Mobile is spelled K-R-E-W. That's what.
No, it's not the same fucking word. It's carny speak. When you took advantage of people at a carnival.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You needed to have the same language with the guy that's also taking advantage of him because you're tricking him.
Okay.
So they developed a language. Kayfabe is a way that you convey that. That's essentially the language.
The language of the carnies.
Yes. So when wrestlers were being wrestlers because someone was a bad guy, someone was a good guy, and you had to keep your "I hate him till he dies" angle so you can sell as many tickets as you can.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You had to make sure you represented kayfabe, which was the understood language of you know where you're at. And in airports and in areas, if someone was green and wasn't aware of the business, let's say, they weren't part of it enough, you had to fucking yell kayfabe because you're basically exposing the business. That's the term. You guys really don't know about kayfabe? Jesus Christ.
You're not that into it.
Nah. New to me.
Great term. Everyone can use it. But it's also... Okay, so Larry the Cable Guy is kayfabe. Does that make sense?
Because he's a character?
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
Because he's a character?
Yes. You have to live the gimmick. The Undertaker is a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
That's kayfabe.
You mean he's not really an Undertaker in real life? I thought it was just his day off. It was a day job.
Here's the thing. He actually started listening to Limp Bizkit and driving a motorcycle in 2001. Blew everyone's mind. No. He did actually. It was terrible. It was the worst shit ever. Yes, he's not really that fucking thing. But that's what I'm saying. That's the terminology. And if you don't know carny, I don't know. It's like, no. I mean, it's basically just tricking people. It's a work. That's the difference between a work and a shoot.
Okay.
Work, shoot.
This is very
educational. The joke you tell that's real, and the joke you tell to elaborate. One's a work, one's a shoot. Shoot's for real. Here's actually I wrote my joke, and that's how you fucking do wrestling. That's why I love it.
Where does the term shoot?
It is actually comedy, but that's a different discussion.
Well, okay, we'll come back to that in just a second. Where does the term shoot come from?
Because it's real.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna hurt yourself. That's what
Is
When
it the
when at
move?
work, being we're playing, I'm gonna
Okay.
grab you
Uh-huh.
to the collar.
Uh-huh.
A shoot is I'm gonna actually try and wrestle you to the fucking ground and hurt you. It goes back to the Gold Dust Trio. It goes back to
Okay.
Toots Montt in like 1927. There's an incredible book called The Fall Guys, which is the first
Oh, yeah.
expose of the business. It came out in 36.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Okay.
And it's about because these guys were big. They're big, strong motherfuckers. It's not just they can't hurt you.
Mhm.
It's just that they're not hurting each other because you can't make money the next night if you hurt each other.
Too
Right.
bad.
Today you had smaller territories. You did one spot here. You moved 30 miles, and just like I don't like to go away from my house, Hobbit style. No one's going to the next fucking town. It's not on TV every fucking week. There's no internet.
Yeah.
You only get the fucking things in the paper. So you could keep these gimmicks going every other fucking year. You come back to the state and the town next year, guess what? Oh, fuck. He's coming back. And it's like this image of what it was supposed to be. So the idea of the shoot was, I'm fucking really going to hurt you. You fucked up.
Right.
Now it's for real. And if anyone's familiar with the Montreal Screwjob, which we don't have to get into, that was a shoot. It's just basically anytime there's a real fight. Shoot is a real fight. MMA is a shoot.
Okay.
This is working.
Yeah. Like
Or
shoot.
wrestling in itself. Professional
Shoot
wrestling
fight,
is
yeah.
working. But that wasn't known until at least 36. And that's when the first expose came out, which again is a great book. If y'all want to read it, it's called Fall Guys. See, this is not about comedy anymore. But
Well, I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back because you were talking about how comedy is the act of or a comedy performance in some way, the work.
Yeah.
And how I keep thinking about how Andy Kaufman, maybe he saw that earlier and that was the play, or I don't know what his angle was, of course, but there you go. I brought it right back for you.
he loved wrestling.
Yeah, he
Also,
did.
Well, the
Also,
big Jerry
Muhammad
the
Ali in the
Lawler
same manner.
dude.
Muhammad Ali also respected Gorgeous George. That's why Muhammad Ali spoke the way he did and presented himself larger than life. It was because of wrestling. Andy Kaufman directly from Memphis, he knew that he could get in that territory and work with Jerry Lawler.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything Andy Kaufman does is a work.
Right.
Okay.
And that's his structure.
Mm-hmm.
Because and it's also a psychological thing, I think, for a lot of comedians, because a lot of people are inverted, but they want to be extroverts. So his interpretation of it was watching these people pretend, and then he challenged women to wrestle, because which again was just to incite people
Yeah.
to
Right.
get
Yeah, of course.
That's called heat, by the way, and to get heat, to get them to hate them, and people literally tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't Lawler go
Literally
after him on a
wanted him
late night
dead.
show?
That's how it used to work. People literally believed in it that much.
Yeah.
And it's not real anymore. When you get that kind of anger at a show for a joke you tell, when you know it's not real,
Yeah.
that's the closest goddamn thing to that shit, dude.
That's the work, huh?
It's a work.
Right.
And you brought someone there that they got so fucking mad they want to throw a soda at you.
Right. But Lawler was in on the joke the whole time because he's
It was he was totally in on the
he
completely.
was in on it from the beginning.
It was
For
it was
sure.
completely understood, and he was in fact there's actually Jim Cornette, there's a book he does, you can get it on Kindle, it's really good too, about Behind the Curtain, and it's like a comic book about it, but they talk about all the different kind of things that expose kayfabe. But what's interesting about that is he takes the pile driver, which is the thing where you put someone's ass around your neck and then they break your head. But Andy Kaufman paid for the ambulance and sold it in the ring to draw more attention to the fact that he actually got injured, to sell it harder, to build the next bit, to build the next match. Comedy is about promotion in the same manner. It's about building to the next joke, right?
Yeah.
He fucking realized if he just makes this angle even bigger, then they can move more tickets. He just wanted to pretend to be a wrestler for a little while. And then they get a spot on fucking David Letterman.
Right.
And they keep the bit going because Andy Kaufman is also a fucking actor. And so what are comics?
Yeah.
Fucking actors.
And didn't he
it's
like
the same
slap
dance.
Didn't he like slap Jerry Lawler on the show or something like that?
He did, yeah.
Jerry Lawler gets up and smacks the ever-loving shit out of him.
There you
And he
go.
falls out of the chair. All but here's the bit. they didn't smarten up fucking law or they didn't smarten up Letterman.
Mhm.
So David Letterman didn't know he was going to smack the shit out of him.
Right.
And so, because and everyone needs, because this is like 40 years ago, for fuck's sake. But like,
But it was epic.
It's a late show Letterman, not when he was in charge of the earlier show. So it wasn't like big, but it was a national promotion for a wrestling angle that had no other exposure, and people are like, "Shit, this is real." Like he fucking jacked that guy up, and that's how you're supposed to fucking convey your jokes.
I was convinced. I mean, I didn't see it live, but after the fact, when I saw it, I was like, damn.
Dang.
And then there's also an amazing documentary that was on Netflix about the Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey doing it.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey is completely in character the whole time, which again is just a work. Daniel Day-Lewis as an actor is just a fucking work. Mm-hmm. He just chooses whatever gimmick, whatever person he wants to represent, and then just works it like he's just that character. That's the same as wrestling, other than the physical actual effort. And so other than doing that physically, joke-wise, you're just conveying the story of who you are, unless you want to do all the puppet stuff or fucking fall down or whatever else. But that's a different story, and that's not the fuck I'm doing. So, but you know what I mean.
So
that's my comparison.
So tell me if this is too tangential. When you think about theater and comedy, there's not a whole lot of. I can't think of any great comedies. Well, I mean, there are a few, like some one-man shows and some of the stuff that Mulaney and Kroll have done. But there's not a lot of theater, or there's not a lot of comedy in theater that rivals the theatrical comedy you're talking about in wrestling.
No, not physically. Of course not.
Yeah. Like it is definitely. But
so that's also the point of the bit. People go there for that. But the promos is what that's the whole thing. It's promos. That's the comedy of it. That's the words they can use and conveying those characters and stuff.
Oh man, and I can remember back in the 80s watching them do the in between talk, like and the after promos. all that stuff. Man, I learned how to shit talk from wrestlers in the 80s. They were good at it.
I wouldn't have as much confidence if I did to do the jokes now if I wasn't as invested in watching the people that were. And there's a nice diversity to it in some aspects, because there's someone that represents that's a fat ass fuck. So I love me some Vader. He was a big dude and he just squashed motherfuckers. And then he had this loudmouth asshole as a manager because he couldn't talk, and that became my guy. And then you respect other people for actually how strong and great they are, and then you just invest in it. It's just superhero stuff. People don't compare it properly, I guess. The analysis is different, but that's fucking me. And I got the actual, you can cut a promo, you can cut a fucking joke. You can talk for an hour. and a lot of people don't realize that they're not that scripted. Anything you watched until like 1990, till 2003, was them just saying shit because that was their job.
So they were just riffing, right?
Yes. I mean, they were presented like on the same kind of improv stuff that Christopher Guest does, Spinal Tap level, or The Office, or that kind of like, here's the premise. You're gonna fight him in Poughkeepsie, tell him to go fuck himself. Last week you guys lost, and then they had. And they would just get herked up, and then and that's why you could tell that. That's why Jake the Snake Roberts, if you want to get directly into it, is a psychological genius and an incredible orator. There's a lot of really, really, really funny and also amazing talkers. Yeah, and it's just an incredible art form that is unfortunately dying slowly, without fanfare in the proper sense. It's just kind of been that's what it is too. But there's also change that can come. But comedic wise, seeing guys do that, seeing someone just stand up and say something, and that kind of you need that as a kid sometimes, and that shit informed me, and I love it. It's not that well, maybe start being a comic, but it sure as shit fucking changed my understanding of how to fucking get on stage with the power, because fuck it, if they can do it.
Right.
Well, I have to say, every time we talk about wrestling, you persuade me a little bit more, for sure, in favor of
Then
wrestling.
we haven't talked enough. We got to talk more. We'll watch it tonight. No, it's not worth it now.
Yeah.
We'll watch some old stuff.
I like to. I'm to the point now where I don't watch a lot of the new stuff, but I love to reminisce about the old stuff. The good old days. Yeah, back when what was anyway. We don't have to do all that.
Nah, I'm not trying to. I told you.
But the wrestling as comedy is very pertinent, and it's something that I've never thought about it, and it's an inspirational thing to think about it that way because it's an angle I've never considered before, which is always valuable. So, yeah, I see it as very pertinent. I think it's the second time I've said that today. I don't know why pertinent is
Well,
on my mind.
go back. So we talk about the old stuff. Go back and watch some of those old matches that you think about you like, and then watch those spots where there is comedy, and then there is jokes that they actually put in there, and just the way that they convey it. It's perfect, man. Yeah. Anyway, I fell in love with it, so it helped me get to where I'm at. Anyway,
Your advice to new comics is to watch old wrestling.
I would say watch. I would say watch some promos.
Yeah.
I would say Phil, watch something. Probably that angle. Go anything Dusty Rhodes does, anything that Ric Flair. Well, hell, anything that any AWA stuff, any NWA stuff before it becomes monopolized. Because that's really independence and comedy. I always reflect the comedy as territories. It's the closest I could ever be to a wrestler.
Nice.
Because it is territorial, and even though the conglomerates that are, I guess, YouTube or the networks or whatever app that fucking videos anything now, they're not going to be at every little dumb shit bar that you're going to go and fucking tell a joke at. But if you're a wrestler, getting on TV was the only thing that mattered, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now it's like I can record myself with myself out there. So now it should be the only thing that you can do is try and draw people wherever you go. And there's a territorial aspect to where you're supposed to be. And if you can build that circuit and just do that game, I would say, just wrestling was like that. Research wrestling. Fucking watch some people get on stage confidently that had to sell their ass and then drive 6 to 7 hours to the next place to make a show the next night.
Right, like they're on the road like comedians. Yeah,
they're busting their ass and staying in hotels, and then literally getting their asses kicked, and then staying in hotels, and then a promo for TV once a week, and then busting their ass and cutting it. So, and that still technically hasn't changed that much until COVID, honestly. But I would say reflect on that. Or just, because people aren't going to buy it. And I'm not saying it's real. That's what comedy is.
Yeah. Okay, so so that makes a good segue. Jason Hedden chimed in with a good question. Shout out to those guys, Panama City Comedy and everybody. Love you guys. Jason said, "Hey guys, it seems we've less comedians that played a broad character like Larry the Cable Guy or Andrew Dice Clay was the other one that we mentioned." And he said, "What do you think that is? Or why do you think that is?" So as far as people developing characters that are comedic, do we have more or less of that these days? And why or why not? Any thoughts? I'm formulating an opinion. What do you guys think?
I mean, people doing characters, there are still a few, right?
We got guys like Emo Phillips.
That's still, though.
Anthony Jeselnik, maybe?
No, I'm just talking about in the stand-up realm, not in the wrestling realm.
No.
We're just talking about in the stand-up realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Emo Phillips, that's still a character. That's still a character. Like, it's not a new one.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing.
So, but Anthony Jeselnik, in a sense,
that's a work, right?
Well, all roast comics are works unless they're actually dickheads. So, I mean, that's just the truth. That's why I don't work like that. That's not my fucking match. So,
so here's a question.
I'm sure you could be a dickhead if you wanted to, Matt. Don't put yourself.
No. Ask my wife and the cat.
So here's a question.
I haven't heard from them.
Can a style of comedy be a work? So
Yeah.
like Jesselneck's style is edgy enough that I think that would qualify as a character, which would make it a work because he doesn't. That may be his sense of humor, but that's not his like moral compass. So, what do you think?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's exactly it. The point is to spark the audience.
Sure,
The
sure, sure, sure.
point is to draw out what you want to convey that they respond to.
Okay, so here's a better question: can comedy ever not be a work?
Yeah. Yeah, you can be.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, you can be yourself on stage, right?
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Of course you can. And that always comes off very true.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the other problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of comedians that are sociopaths. So
don't give away all our secrets. Come on now.
Get really good at fucking working.
Come on, K-Fab. Oh, that sounded like a beer stein.
See, I talked about him. All right, what'd you knock down, buddy? All right, we'll figure that out later. Don't eat that. All right. No, but a lot of comedians, not a lot of comedians, but some are, in fact, sociopaths, and that affects the way that they do perform themselves. But the people that are true,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of reference what is true, like their stories, those aspects that actually happen to them, that does come off, and that does read an audience as well. And there are a lot of those.
But they start off, a lot of people start off with what's true and then they exaggerate it for comic effect just to make it better and funnier. So it starts off as itself and then it becomes a work.
Right. And the heat and the roasting stuff, that all has to be already in that realm of I'm extrapolating and mocking and then I'm creating all of this stuff. So it can't be that true person as a comic because they now represent this interpretation.
Right.
I'm that roast comic. I'm Jeff Ross. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that they're not genuine when they do stuff like that. But that's also the point of the mic. That's why the open mic is so important in my mind, because you can get the honest person because they're going to be scared on stage. Yeah. Honesty is fair. Honesty is reality. Honesty is, I don't know. Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
If you're just putting on that facade of like, I got this, fuck you, then you're already screwed it up. So, you know what I mean? Like you're already past that. So there are comics that are characters these days.
Yeah.
There always are gonna be.
Right.
Hell, and they keep working. Hell, Dean Martin was working. People forget that shit. Like it's been
apple
going
juice,
on forever.
baby. Apple
it's
juice.
Just getting the audience to believe in you. I mean, the Larry the Cable Scott, he's still going. Fucking Carrot Top, honestly, Gallagher, these things. But honestly, Carrot Top is more honest to what he is as a character than anything else.
Right. Well, it has a basis in truth.
Yeah.
Well, does social media? Here's another level. Does social media play a role in a modern inability to maintain a character to the extent that Larry the Cable Guy, as a recent example, was able to maintain his true identity much longer?
I'll bring it back to wrestling, man. Saying that's the death of kayfabe. That's the thing. As soon as you have the availability to understand that this isn't who it is.
Well, they knew it wasn't, right?
Well, it's been Dan Whitney from Ohio since 1995.
I don't think anybody really believed he was a cable guy, right? They knew he was a comedian from the beginning, right?
Well, what are the Jerky Boys? Like, it's the same thing. He gets over from radio stuff, and then all of a sudden, now he's selling tickets. Mm-hmm. Well, then shit, this guy sells tickets. Mm-hmm. Fucking keep talking about a redneck stuff. They love it. Mm-hmm. Jeff Foxworthy, on the other hand, is him turned to 11. Yeah. But Jeff Foxworthy also worked for IBM and quit a profitable job. That's not a joke. It's legit. Yeah. Like, he's not an idiot. And he has a way to convey a more honest lifestyle in the sense without going to that next level. Ron White, I'm now just the drunk version of this. Mm-hmm. But I'm still basically this guy that did a lot of this shit. And if you don't believe me, I'm pretty sure you can check it. And you trust that I was probably that guy. And I'm elaborating. There's that level. I mean, we had a guy here in Pensacola, and I haven't seen him in a while. And I'm eventually going to see what the fuck the cat broke. But we had this guy in Pensacola that I love to death, and I haven't seen him in a little while. But my man, Vaudeville Vinny,
Oh, yeah, he was great. I love that guy.
Correct actual character. It's the only local comic I ever dressed up as for Halloween. and and he would do a shtick, and it was a bit, and he knew it, but he was aware of it, and we would talk about it. He would talk about his bit and how he wanted me to introduce him, how it was, because he knew what he was doing. Right. So yeah, there to answer the question, long story, fucking around the barn. He knew what he was doing, and there are still some scattered. Mainstream, no, you have to separate that, but you have to just pretend it's not real. That this belief has to be in there. Mm-hmm. And that's the same kayfabe shit. Once it's gone, I don't think that guy's and that's the other part. I'll flip it that way. Is that then it becomes, well, now that's what they actually believe in. Now they're sexist, racist. Now becomes that joke meant something that they actually believe in. Right. So you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. Like it used to be that you could set it up like that, and I think that's
some people still get away with that. I mean, Jesselnick still gets away with that shit, whereas other people don't.
But that's also variety to this point because he's built a kayfabe. I'm the heat guy. I always tell you yourself. Like he gets step away from it because he built that character, and that might not be who he is. I don't know what the fuck he is, but I assume that's not who he is because Jesus Christ, if he is. But if you've established yourself as this is always that's honest,
right? Because somebody else could say the exact same joke and get canceled, whereas he can get away with it.
Well, have you guys heard any of Dice's newer sets?
I have not actually, because I don't have Showtime, so I haven't watched any. I know he had
television at all in your Hobbit cave, right?
The internet's not as it works. All right, it got through the little thing. All right. And by the way, all my windows are square. They're not. I know the door's a circle, but the rest of them are fucking square. So. Nice. All right. Give me 1 fucking second so I can see if he broke something.
All right, that's what you do. Go.
I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. I just want to move it.
That's fine.
Because
you talking about the cat?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's something that broke, so I need to make sure nothing's wrong.
I'm pretty sure that's Vaudreuil Vinny you got running around back there, right?
I'll find the hat if I have to. Actually, I need to grab a charger anyway because I'm using this shitty ass phone. All right,
you go right ahead. You go right ahead.
This guy, he's got to get on the wheel and wind up some electricity. He's got to start pedaling. He's got to start pedaling back there.
I think it's a really interesting topic, though. I'm glad all of this came up because this leads us right into the obvious things that you talk about as comics. Finding your voice and the identity.
Finding your voice is the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the early phase. Like it's But anyway, we'll get Matt to talk about that too. We'll tie that in.
I think you think Matt's found his voice?
No, but I know he knows more about it than I do. I think
is that what he's looking for right now?
What I meant was I'm going to set y'all up to talk about it.
Readjust. Hold on.
You readjust. Do as you see fit. I can put you back in the middle of the screen.
I plug my shit in. It started to die because it's shitty and old.
Well, thanks for sticking around. You could have just bailed on us. We appreciate that.
I'm gonna bail on you. He knocked over 4 spoons for some fucking reason. I don't even know how there were 4 spoons collectively together.
Nobody believes you got 4 spoons. You're just bragging now.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Oh man.
We're gonna have to figure this out.
No, you go. Take your time. Figure it out. You figure it out. Governor and I'll talk amongst ourselves.
So whatever happened to Vaudreuil Vinny? Is he still around?
I honestly haven't seen him in a few at least 2 years now because I forget that COVID happened. Last I heard, he was existing. I had access to his Facebook account for a while because he was a good guy. He wanted me to promote the shows when he was going to shooters. But yeah, it's been a minute. All right, let me figure out the best way to set this down, and we'll do it like that. How much nonsense do you see in the background? Is that too fair?
You're fine.
Right. Okay,
you're fine.
We'll do it like that.
We'll keep an eye on
the casual. Is that working?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the smoke alarm for you. Don't worry about it. If you can't hear it, we'll tell you if it starts blinking. Anyway, did you hear that little tie together? Talking about characters and comics and style and identity and how that rolls into the beginning of comics or comic careers and places like shooters when it comes to finding your voice. How about that for a bow?
I like that. Nice. Look at you tying it up. Nice. I will agree.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry, I meant to ask a question, not make a point.
Well, it's true. I would agree with that. That's a solid ass point. Yeah, that's what you need to do because you got to find how you're gonna look.
Yeah.
If we want to, I'll call it back before. If you want, the Undertaker was originally was a lot of people before that. He was Mean Mark Callis. All right. There's a lot of things you got to do to get your ass out there. You got to get yourself on stage and you got to perform to figure it out. And you're not going to figure out what it is or how you're going to do it until then. And I still figuring it out fucking A. So
every day.
So yeah, there's no better way to do it. So find a mic,
and then find your voice.
Okay,
and
well,
get your fucking feet on the stage.
I told myself I was going to wait an hour, but I am just busting at the seams to say Napoleon Bonaparte. I can't help it.
Bonaparte.
I can't help it because I know it's one of your buttons, and you haven't talked about Napoleon for 55 minutes, and
That's a record,
it's got me very concerned.
So just to be clear, is this Napoleon Bonaparte or Napoleon Dynamite that you're really into?
No, I respect the leader of France, not the guy that fed a llama. But I feel more apprehensive talking with someone from another a foreign country about someone that they fought against.
Because my favorite Napoleon, of course, is Napoleon Solo, the man from U.N.C.L.E. How's that for an obscure?
What?
Oh, that is
Dude.
Yeah, fucking hey, look at that.
That's past left field.
There's only a couple. There's only a couple where you can make that reference. I'm a Bonaparte fan myself. Actually, I have 2 books set up on the table. Fucking A.
Have you set them up a little bit apart? They're about a Bonaparte.
Nah, look at you. Look, dude, is there a rim shot button? Can you find
one
of those?
Just do governance sound effects. Don't worry about
it. Oh shit. No, I'm a big proponent of
French dictators.
a little bit, yeah. I guess how it comes off, and that pisses me off because I've been trying to clarify it. As far as my romanticism of what Napoleon was, and I'm fascinated with the person himself,
right?
Happenstance, and because of the placement, and then how it works, and then also the demise and the collapse, and then the resurgence, and then the recollapse. It's a fucking story, and not to mention, we get half of America for a sandwich, and then that's what causes the Civil War 40 years later. Nice. Like, it's this amazing historical importance, and I'm parish born. I will say that I was born in Slidell, Louisiana, so it's a parish. That's why I brought up the mausoleums and the pyramid stuff earlier. Yeah. He was obsessed with Egypt, which is also amazing. Right. Because he wanted to find how Alexander got where he was and things. He was obsessed with that. Right. I think the tyrant stuff is, yes, there's some tyrannical.
Was his public personality at work?
Say it again.
Was his public personality at work? Was it a gimmick?
It turned into one, but also more importantly, I think now what he's revered as or looked at is through the lens of the last tyrants that have occurred. So he looks even more congested in that. But he obsesses over Alexander. That was his guy. He wanted to be the Caesar ass kind of motherfucker. And then Hitler takes over the world, and the most reference to that than Hitler. So then, how are you going to reflect on this guy that took over fucking lands? But his image and the propaganda campaign that was set up. It's the War of the Seven Coalitions. You know why it's the War of Seven? It's again because they tried it after 6 of them and another one. There's enough of them. They kept coming. There's a couple treaties in there. That's all I'm saying. He said, I whooped your ass. Just speak French.
Yeah, and you're okay. So who do you think would win in a straight-up boxing match, Hitler or Napoleon?
Or Andy Kaufman?
Napoleon will beat the shit out of him, but that's. What are you? Wait, you mean like death count wise, or like?
No, this is like a straight-up man.
Straight up against a certain.
Yeah. No, straight up man to man, one man versus the other man in a ring.
Get out of him because Hitler was. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Napoleon was a soldier.
Yeah.
Hitler was a douchebag.
Well, Hitler was a soldier too, wasn't he? Once before the war.
Oh, he was a very poor soldier, from what I understand.
He was not an intern. What it was.
Nobody. Yeah,
I think I'm romanticizing a tyrant.
The kind of soldier that gets demoted. You know. Not a good one. He was
taller than people. 5'6" was a respectable height.
6 minutes. 6 minutes for him to get to the height, Governor.
In the 1700s, late 1700s, and early 1800s, it is today. All right, 5'6" is tall.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's average. It's not tall. It's not tall.
He wasn't.
It's average.
Small person.
That's right. He wasn't a small person.
Oh yeah, you guys with your 6 feet.
But he used to put all the 6 foot guys up in the front of the army, right? So they all got killed off first.
Say it again.
He used to put all the 6 foot guys in the front of his army, and they all got killed off first, and that kind of brought the average down to where he was.
All right, that was an interesting campaign. But
was that the Little Feet campaign? Yeah.
You didn't fucking see. That's the kind of shit. No, what I will say this. Here's the deal that my obsession of it breaks down to an extent is that I can't agree to everything he fucking did. You can respect the fucking level of military acumen and how everything has been basically instructed since him. I mean, the Napoleonic Wars did change a lot of how you can work an army and you can militarize. Yeah. I'm not saying that's what I like or should want, and I'm the most passive son of a bitch. Isn't this the next guy? But you can respect that. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, what I love about him is the Josephine and the exile and the return and then the double exile. It is the best. The shit that he does, yeah. But I mean, kayfabe, is it work? No. I think what he was presented to in certain countries, is it work. Right. And I think he was also presenting himself bigger than he wanted to look because he felt small. Right. But he's also a dude dealing with. He's a very romantic character. I guess is what obsesses me about him.
So here's a question. Sorry. Can a dictator?
My personal belief, his main accomplishment was putting 3 flavors of ice cream in the same cup.
That is my favorite ice cream sandwich. Now I'm hungry. So here's a question: can a dictator?
I think the purchase of Louisiana.
So can a dictator ever not be a work?
He was never a dictator. He was an emperor.
No. Just bigger picture. Bigger picture.
An emperor.
Oh, an emperor. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the same thing, right?
No. Different words in the dictionary, and that's why I can still act like I can defend it. So I can't go direct dictator. I feel like even more of an asshole. Sorry, go ahead, Counted.
No, I'm just considering my question of can, like, there's a level of authority that has to be a work, right? Mm-hmm. There comes a point where it can't not be. So there has to be a character there.
Well,
right?
Some dictators more than Mussolini was almost entirely image, right? Whereas Napoleon had at least something to back it up with.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Thank you. Well, look at Kim Jong-un or anything North Korea's doing. Look at what Putin does. I mean, that's all. That is complete kayfabe,
dude.
You watch that footage of him playing hockey. You're like, Putin, really? There's letting him score goals.
Shirtless on a horse. Oh man, that is industry written all over it.
Don't worry about that shit. He just wanted to bang some bitches after his wife cheated on him, and that was like it turned into a whole different deal. Like he just wanted to conquer like Alexander did.
Is Putin the Andy Kaufman of dictators?
I just think he's Andy Kaufman.
I heard. Oh, yes, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Kaufman lives, and he is the czar of not the czar. He is the.
I knew the cancer was at work.
That was the work, dude.
That's great. Kaufman is
Laugh at someone's
Putin.
demise.
Kaufman is Putin. I better hear that in your next set, Governor. Somewhere, somehow. That's a great
I mean,
premise.
that's the work. He had to learn Russian and all of that stuff. That's he's put some work into that character.
That'd be
He
hilarious.
did himself, doesn't he?
That'd be hilarious. All right, so let's take a left turn and do some backstory stuff. Because the reason I bring up Napoleon is because you are incredibly well read when it comes to things that you're interested in, and you're very good at recalling that information and sharing it with people. So, how has that always been a thing that drives your comedy, or is that something that was derived after you got into comedy, or have you always just been enjoyed research?
No, that's a good question. Thank you. That's actually like that.
I don't suck at this, Matt.
I didn't.
I don't appreciate the implications of your compliment.
Well, then I should have phrased it better.
Yeah.
Sorry, no,
No,
don't mind me. I'm an asshole. I apologize. Thank you very much.
I always storytelling is part of it to me, I guess. In my head, and I always wanted to know exactly how to frame what I was trying to say. And you'd read something, and then it's all the language, I guess. It's part of it, like learning new words.
Sure.
And then you need a way to to structure them. So then you learn about that stuff. And I guess the earliest direct influence, just for the way to talk and make sure you knew what it was. Still have the VHS somewhere. In 1998, when I was 14 years old, I recorded Dress to Kill on HBO on an extra long VHS extended play tape because of the storytelling and the history and how invested he was. Because I always loved mythology. I always loved because religion is really what spurred me. So you need to learn what you're talking about. So I read the fucking Bible.
Yeah.
So I can go, are you sure?
Right.
If you don't know what you're talking about, first mic I ever used was in a church, and it was to tell jokes because we had the opportunity to do it because it was a local church in a small town, small parking. But the point was, I can know what I'm talking about if I can tell them what I've already learned, and if I'm not ready for me to be able to argue about it, then I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I'd always read the shit and set it up. And when I watched Dress to Kill and saw how involved the structure of the history was and how and the same, there was always peppering. And then I found Glorious. You had to pull that offline. And then it was just that kind of long-winded nonsense that I guess I adapted to. Made me really invested in finding out the history of what I'm trying to talk about, because that way you can say that my joke isn't good, but I sure shit told you the right goddamn point.
Nice.
Yeah. You can't correct me on that. You might not have liked it, but I sure as hell said, right?
It's accurate information.
And I would, all of the posts I used to do for shooters, I would research it directly on purpose. I wanted to make sure that if someone came out and I just didn't trust one article. I didn't trust one reference. I wanted to establish that I had some understanding of what the hell I'm trying to convey to you people. And if you can't trust me on anything else, you can trust me on the fact that I have tried to convey that. So that's, I guess that would go back to that point.
Well, and you mentioned Dress to Kill and Glorious, and I don't know how we didn't bring up Eddie Izzard as part of the character development. People,
the Dress to Kill the set, right? That was one of his specials.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's 98. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he does it in French. He does it in Spanish, or he was a Spanish interpretation, but he does it in French too. You can watch him do it in fucking French.
That guy's good.
Oh, it's actually my wife. It's one of the first. Actually, I burned a CD Sorry, Eddie. I burned a CD from the thing, the earliest when people used to do that. Gave it to my not then wife when we were friends in high school.
I love
from
that Eddie Izzard is your love language.
Huh?
I love that Eddie Izzard is your love language.
Well, that's my wife.
That's great.
Well, no, she's my wife, but I gave that. That's how much I love him and my wife. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was yeah. No, that Dress to Kill was amazing. And it goes for a long run, and it wasn't like the other specials that were out at the same time. It was just it was long form.
Yeah.
There was depth to it, and he challenged the audience to stay with him.
Right.
And I respect the fuck out of that,
dude. And his choice of outfits, the outfit that he wears in that special, that
the one
Chinese, I think it's a Chinese style.
I would say it's closest. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, he influenced a lot of comedians. I mean, he influenced Compton. That's why Compton wears a skirt on stage.
Yeah, of course. Eddie Izzard, huge inspiration. I don't know if I put it together that way, but for sure that was one of the first guys that I saw. I was like, oh, well, if he can do that, who gets to make my decisions, you know?
Definite Article. That's the one before Glorious. That's the other one I forgot about. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Go back. Anyone. Yeah. God damn, those were all great.
Definite Article?
Fuck. Stuff. You're going to make me watch that later now.
Yeah, I don't recognize it. I'm going to have to go do some research. I thought I'd seen all of his.
That one's you're not gonna find it. It's gonna be like one of those things that's on DVD you can't like this or some shit. Now you gotta find it at Goodwill, where I got my beard.
Goodwill.
But now I'm curious where you got your beard.
That's where you got his beard and his shirt.
I've been working on that.
Very nice. Good one. But so Eddie Izzard, as within the framework of a work or shoot, is probably not anomalous through the lens of today, but for the time, it was definitely up for interpretation from the audience as to whether or not he was playing a character or that was genuinely him. So
I would say that he's probably one of the most straight shooting sumbitches of it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree, I think. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do agree. He is straightforward. But for the time frame, for the context, there was no one else remotely similar to Eddie in appearance.
Well, not that I was aware of, no.
You just couldn't be. There was the only transvestite comedy on that level, for sure. So it's not like the world had seen it before.
And more important, that's the reason why he was so straight. I guess if we're going to start, but it was a straight shoot, was because he addresses that in it, and he exposes what it feels like and sounds like, and how to correct. Hey, I know what you're going to think as I'm going to talk to you for the next 2 hours.
Yeah,
but that's not what you're thinking of it. Like how you think of it. Here's how I think of it, and then we're going to move on. It's it's a masterful way to deal with a crowd.
Yeah,
there's just such nuance, and then without chastising. And he's not trying to say that you're ignorant and you're wrong. He's just trying to go, I know what you're thinking, but here's how we're gonna deal with this tonight, because you already showed up.
Yeah,
and let's move on.
I want to go back and watch all of his stuff.
Jokes.
Yeah,
don't be mad at me because I look like this.
Yeah,
like there's like little it's just that's one of the greatest specials of all time. And if no one, and young comics, if you have not seen that, fucking bust your nuts and go find it, because it is. And it's like HBO did it, but there's like 6,000 episodes of random shit HBO never produced on HBO Max, but you can't find comedy specials.
Really?
When I was a kid, so go fuck off. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
Why not re-release those?
Find it. If not, then call somebody.
Why isn't it on HBO Max? What's up with that?
I wonder.
There's some shit on there, and there's like certain ones they just don't want to waste time to. I don't know.
Well, but that's the kind of thing where, Eddie Izzard's been in the news lately as part of the transgender movement, which is right up Netflix's alley.
He's fully transitioned, or transitioned further, I guess.
I think he's identifying as female now.
Right. Yeah, he's transition different from 90 because we're talking about 98. I mean, that's fucking 23 years ago, right? So
yeah,
it's been a jump, you know.
But,
so yeah, I think he's been, but he's only in the news because people are giving him, they're addressing the fact that all of a sudden he's different. Like it's like
crazy.
Yeah, but Dress to Kill is so good. Like, why is it not on Netflix? Like, who owns the right to that, and why is it not out there?
Owns it.
Even HBO isn't showing it. That's crazy.
That's fucked
That's
up.
what I'm telling you. If you can pull it up, and same thing, definite article, and glorious. You might be able to pull them up on iTunes. I think the audio recordings, the audio versions. You don't get that full clip. You don't get that double callback. Because he's the other guy. Because I'm a big callback guy, and he's one of the dudes that really sets callbacks up, and he does it in that elongated set from Dress to Kill DVD. I can't believe there should be a fucking Criterion collection for fuck's sake on that. But anyway, that's.
I think it's on. I think they're
fucking Eddie Izzard. Sorry.
Well, you brought it up, and I was trying to get at your early comic influences, and since you mentioned Eddie, I figured we'd dive in from that angle. But who else were you paying attention to back then? And were they storytellers too?
Yeah, it's it's not going to be popular to describe, but I'll mention it because it was influential, and I'll keep it because I'll separate the artist. But Bill Cosby himself as a special when I was, I think 8 or 9, I recall, and it was and all that shit. Huh?
When you were a young hobbit.
Yes, when my beard was only this long, and it was, the performance of that, also storytelling, also kayfabe because he's from a show in the first place and already an actor, but the way the stage was put up in the stories and the way that we go into it, and I was like, oh wow, he is captivating everyone with the way he's presenting what he's saying, and he pulls it back, and Jesus Christ, all that stuff. Like, it's just the light behind him, the stage presence of it. It was a show, but it was a comic, and I fell in love with that because it came on Cinemax before all the the titties would be on. So it was like different. it was jokes. It was this thing, and I fell in love with it. And that would be the earliest thing that I'm like that. And then because HBO is running Carlin, I got to see every fucking George Carlin special. When they would replay him randomly on HBO from going back to '84, and all the way up until when I was conscious of it to watch, You're All Diseased and everything. Just getting to that point, that was actually a huge influence because also that wasn't as much storyteller as a language model. He knew exactly how to put together what he wanted to say, and even though he referenced certain things that he knew about, it was a dance. That's why he would do he'd pull the leg up and build the arms. Like he was just smarter in the way he did, and it was different. And I was just, this is amazing. Yeah. And you want to be able to talk like that, to be able to convey your ideas. And if you can think of something funny, that's awesome. And then reference it that way. And then you get the curmudgeonly old fucking Carlin, and that's right when I came in. And
so you like that, huh? You like the curmudgeon?
Well, because he became a guy I could reference because I've always been 90, so like it was just like, oh, I get
90 is pretty young for a hobbit, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's Tolkien. Yeah, I mean, it's just in the U.S. I think they already they keep checking me when I fall asleep, but he would fucking, when he gets that angry and he does that kind of stuff, he's the first guy to say Lance Armstrong to go fuck himself, which is amazing. And like, he has that level of like this perspective that is, it's timeless in a way. And we share a birthday, so I learned that you don't get the internet back then, and you learn that later, and you're like, holy shit. So like, we're both born on May 12th, and I'm like, well then now that's my guy. And you run that hard. But as a conscious, like trying to be the guy that made me want to do it and think I could do it, would be fucking Mitch Hedberg was the guy that inspired me enough. Yeah, well, not inspired me enough. That's not the proper term.
That's interesting that it's Mitch, because you being such a storyteller and being such a research information guy, Mitch being such a one-liner guy and quick punchy jokes. What was it about Mitch that pushed the button?
Oh, because he was dedicated to it and he was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch was comedy anxiety.
Yeah.
He is every open micer that gets up, and it's just a shame we didn't get to see the transition past that in the later stages of his career. But when I saw him on Comedy Central's Premium Blend
Mm-hmm.
do 5 minutes with sunglasses on,
Right.
terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had crazy anxiety shit that's why I didn't start until 2010. I wanted to do it since I was 9. that was 93. So, I don't get on stage for another fucking that many years because of my self-consciousness and those things. And seeing him when I was 14 is the reason I'm like, holy shit, wait a minute. You can be terrified.
It's so good.
Up there.
Right.
And you might not believe you're going to be good. And it's going to be weird, but the way he reacted to the crowd and the way he was scared.
Yeah.
And would laugh at his own stuff, but not really laughing at his stuff, but laughed at the fact that like they were laughing and he didn't know how to do it. And it was funny shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the same story shit. It wasn't my style of what I had got used to. It was an hour-long stuff the same way. And I watched all the Comedy Central presents to that point. And I watched Comedy Central like a motherfucker. I watched Dr. Katz all the goddamn. You get home from school and you watch Dr. Katz. That's what you did.
Yeah.
You watch Wiggles. It's Comedy Central.
Yeah.
It's the only comedy channel. There's no YouTube. To the kids out there, there's no fucking YouTube then.
What?
Yeah. Ain't that a bitch? So
You really are a hobbit.
I would just watch. I saw him on there, and I was just like, shit, man. Like, this might be my guy. Like,
yeah,
because I could identify with his terror, and I pulled it up on MitchHedberg.net.
What?
And ordered, and basically found out like all the information I could. And the videos he was doing, anything could, and I found out he had like another Letterman performance that was coming up. He did Letterman like 7 or 8 times, and it was in that same little span of time. Yeah. And I was so obsessed. That was my dude. And then I fucking sent away in the mail. I put money in an envelope and sent it to Minnesota to get his original actual Strategic Grill Location CD.
Was it one payment or 3 easy payments?
It was one payment. It was $14.99.
No wampum needed.
Plus shipping, which was like the stamp. Like you just put the stamp on there. And I got his wife at that time. I think it was still the same wife that as he passed. Lynn Shawcroft sent the goddamn whoever it was or possibly him sent the original actual Strategic Location. I'll show you actually. Now you're talking about prized possessions. I'll show you. It's on a mantle. He touched it himself in my mind and sent to me, and I listened to the full actual sets, not just the 5 minutes from Premium Blend. And I realized that it was a different level of what comedy could be.
Right. And he definitely moved the bar, that's for sure.
With the passion, it was just he believed in himself stronger. And later I realized it has slightly to do with some substance abuses that also help you to do it, but he still had the goddamn confidence to go up with the words that he believed in when he said them, and that's really what I thought it was about. So yeah, that's the direct one, I guess, to get me to go and get my nuts and get on stage.
So without getting too speculative, how much, if any, was Hedberg's act a work? And would it have become more of a work for him to maintain that anxious style as he continued to master the craft?
As his stuff moved on, his confidence shifted, and his cadence also shifted. And there's a lot of these young comics, now, 10 years ago, good lord, that would do the Mitch Hedberg fucking cadence. Everyone. They wait for that pause and it's almost like it's almost an interpretation of Stephen Wright.
Yeah,
and it's just this staff. It's just a stacked version of what they think is supposed to sound like. Mitch was a work because he wasn't that guy. the whole time. I mean, and I'm sure he would tell you that too.
Well, he was a work
real
the way that
Mitch is-
Jesselneck is a work.
Huh?
He was a work the way that Jesselneck is a work. Like his style is.
But in that style, the same way that Stephen Wright's a work. I mean, I'm gonna tell these jokes. You're gonna think I'm dumb.
Yeah.
You're gonna think I'm this guy. But at the same time, inside of that caricature and that gimmick, he was able to do actual stories.
Mm-hmm.
The story, my favorite, and I don't know if you ever know this true. This is true. They tell this. I can't remember which song, but Nick DiPaolo. Does everybody know who Nick DiPaolo is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
There's a joke that Mitch Hedberg does, and I'm not going to do the full joke because I can't out of respect.
That's
but
fine.
There's a joke, if anyone knows it, that he talks about how he was playing guitar very loud, or he was making noise in his room, and his roommate banged on the door, and he said, "Go around. There's not a doorknob. I don't see a doorknob in here." You know, that's the right. I'm not gonna get into the joke because it's
Yeah.
right. So that's a true story,
Mm-hmm.
because Nick DiPaolo tells the story that when Mitch goes on Letterman and tells that joke, and that you can pull up on YouTube. You can't find me on YouTube, but you can find that.
Mm-hmm.
When he goes on Letterman and he has that part of one of his sets in like '99 or whatever. Basically, they lived in the same little comic village because that's how comics you do it. You live in, the fucking, here's a room, stay here. So basically, they were doing like a 2-week stead, and he was the other opener, and he was next to him in the hotel or the rooms. And Mitch would just he'd have a good time, and he was trying to learn to play guitar, and so he was just being louder and shit. And so Apollo kept not banging on the wall to tell him to shut up, but didn't say anything. Just kept banging on it to be like, stop. Mm-hmm. Didn't say anything, but just kept saying stop. And so he wrote that joke as if there's not a doorknob on this side. Go around, because no one was saying anything. He's like, it's a knock on the door. Yeah. Because that's the genesis of the idea of the joke. The reason I know that is because DiPaolo tells a story that when he saw the set list that Mitch wrote out, that joke's name is called DiPaolo because he referenced to him. Yeah. It's that kind of shit. So he interprets, again, turning yourself to 11. Mm-hmm. It's like he's turned himself down to like 5 on stage. It's just like that was his demeanor as that character. So it's hard to call it a work in the sense that he's not genuine in what he's doing, but he's presenting it as a work because he has to. And then the way he works more of his life story stuff and this stuff with his wife, and I zip the flap, shit like that. He gives a ducks eat free at Subway, shit like that. Like
classic.
These are thoughts, and it's hard to call it a direct work because it's not so much of a character. But
he's moved the dial, but in a different direction.
Yeah. And to me, I guess.
So like a Larry David would see a story and then turn it up to make it funnier.
Right. I mean,
whereas Hedberg would turn it down to make it funnier.
And what is the Larry David is the entire character of George Costanza on Seinfeld. Yeah. So that's just a work because you write him as an elaborated establishment. You just trick people into it. But when you're on stage as a comic, you have to perceive. You have to. Here's the jokes because that's you don't have to perform a character unless you make it one. So that's the gray lines around it. But fucking A, you know what I mean. So,
fun to think about.
Have I rambled enough for you guys? Am I still?
Yeah. You've rambled. You've rambled pretty good.
Well, we have been at it for almost an hour and a half, so I'll give you the option to tap out. But I'm always down to continue the conversation.
You really think I'll stop talking? Is that what you think?
That wasn't really for you. That was inadvertently for Governor.
Any more questions that they think are necessary if I run everyone off and asking questions? Because that's the more important part. As long as I can get into the room.
You've emptied Facebook. Everybody in the world has left Facebook.
No. Jason was just the only one that commented on the actual burning the set list page, and I've been ignoring the rest of them that it's on. So that's the only one I've seen. I don't know if there are others out there. Hopefully. Maybe. I don't know.
Man, that's how I do it. So I'm glad y'all invited me.
Nice.
Yeah. This has been a lot of fun. We should definitely do it again because
back sometime,
I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. Like getting into...
As long as y'all want. So you tell me when to stop.
Getting into the backstory. Well, I think an hour and a half is probably a plenty long podcast. So I'm gonna kill this live stream real quick. And anything you want to plug on the Facebook Live before we go? Coastal Comedy and
Coastal Brewery. We got that 19th next show. Sorry.
So the show is what, April the 19th, right?
Yeah, 4/19. It's a Monday night, yeah, and that again, it's off Olive Road in Pensacola, Florida.
And I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be on it. It's going to be great.
Governor's be on it. See, they don't hate me that much.
Dude, you could see both of these gentlemen live at the Coastal County Brewery on, what was it? The 19th.
4/19. Yep.
4/19.
The day before the smoke day that everyone will watch Half Baked on.
The day before the real celebration.
Yeah.
So go check out.
I will undercut segue. We haven't done one in a long time, but I'm technically part of a podcast we used to do called Comics Talking Comics.
Oh yes.
Doesn't exist necessarily because of one of the comics also moving along the world. But we do that, and that is on iTunes. So Comics Talking Comics.
Hell yeah. Well, Mr. Matt Moseley, thank you so much for joining us. Governor, anything before I shut this off?
No, we're good. That was good, man.
Y'all take it easy. Thanks for hanging out.